Sand scours the canvas of the camp as a courier stumbles in, hoarse foam mixing with the dust of the Nile plain. Steel still sings on the wind, the distant memory of lances, the cry of men, and in the courier's hands, a packet that will redraw the borders of empires. The paper trembles, the news within is like thunder, the Persian host broken at Al-Qadisiyah. The message lands on the tent floor. Around it, Fustat's commanders look up, as if the desert itself has shifted. Amr Ibn Alaz rises without surprise. He has been governor of this new city, its streets half-built, its walls not yet set in stone. He has learned the language of urgency. Now, the victory in Iraq presents both boon and peril. A shattered Sassanid army means imperial chaos to the east, the march of opportunity, but also the danger of a Byzantine counterstroke from the sea, and the unrest that riches and captives always bring. The air tastes of iron and calculation. Voices sharpen into orders. Amr dispatches scouts to the Nile approaches, tasks engineers to strengthen Fustat's defenses, and calls for the muster of local levies. He weighs grain stores against the ambitions of men who have fought far from home. He measures the loyalty of garrison commanders whose eyes are on spoils yet to be won. Every courier who arrives now carries not only reports of Persian routes, but pleas from distant commanders asking for reinforcements, ships, and counsel. The map of the caliphate is redrawn overnight. Command must move as swiftly as the news. In the marketplace and the quarters of freed captives, rumors become policy. Merchants tally the cost of war and peace. Clergy and soldiers debate which alliances will hold. Amr takes the position demanded of a soldier statesman, to turn victory elsewhere into security here. He organizes the flow of refugees and prisoners, instructs safeguards for the Nile's trade, and prepares envoys for Medina with assessments that will shape the caliph's plan for the newly won East. Outside, the wind carries the faint, fading echoes of Al-Qadisiyah, the clash of blades and the shout of men, as if the desert still remembers that day. Inside the tent, Amr turns those echoes into orders. Here, in the fragile moment after a great victory, strategy is forged. To hold what has been seized, to prevent its reversal, and to bind distant triumphs into the enduring fabric of a rising state. The choice is stark. Seize the moment and secure Egypt, or allow the storm of conquest to become a tempest of disorder. EVNTSCOVID. Battle of Al-Qadisiyah, Amr Ibn Alaz's strategic consolidation measures in Egypt. The sands of Arabia had been united under the banner of Islam, and now the gaze of the caliphate turned northward to the rich lands of the Levant. Appointed by Caliph Abu Bakr, Amr ibn Alaz emerged as a spearhead of this expansion, his strategic mind sharpened by years of trade and warfare. Leading his army through the harsh deserts, he understood that the key to the Levant lay not in brute force, but in severing the Byzantine lifelines. His first major objective was the ancient city of Gaza, a crucial hub for Byzantine supplies and reinforcements. With calculated precision, Amr isolated the city, cutting off its routes before launching a decisive assault. The capture of Gaza in 634 CE was not merely a military victory. It was a masterstroke that destabilized Byzantine defenses across Palestine, as recorded by Al-Tabari in his Chronicle of the Conquests. The response from Constantinople was swift. Emperor Heraclius assembled a formidable force to crush the Muslim advance. The armies clashed on the plains of Ajnadain. Here, Amr's division, operating with disciplined autonomy, executed a tactical maneuver that would be recorded by historians like Ibn al-Athir. Facing a heavily armored Byzantine front, Amr ordered a controlled withdrawal, drawing the enemy into disarray before unleashing a devastating cavalry charge from the flanks. This rupture in the Byzantine lines turned the tide of battle, leading to a decisive Muslim victory. The fallout was immediate. Byzantine control over the region began to unravel, paving the way for deeper incursions. Amr, seizing the momentum, marched on coastal strongholds. The port city of Ascalon, vital for Byzantine naval support, fell after a brief siege, its commanders accepting terms that ensured the safety of its inhabitants, a detail noted in Ibn Kathir's accounts. Each conquest was a lesson in Amr's philosophy of warfare: swift movement, psychological pressure, and pragmatic governance. His campaigns cleared the path for the eventual Muslim entry into Jerusalem, a moment that would redefine the history of the region. Through dust and blood, Amr ibn al-As had not just conquered land. He had orchestrated the opening act of a new epoch in the Levant, his strategies echoing the historical analyses of Ibn Khaldun on statecraft and conquest. EVNTSCOVOED, capture of Gaza, Battle of Ajnadain, capture of Ascalon. In the year 634 CE, the Byzantine stronghold of Damascus stood as a formidable barrier to the expanding influence of the Islamic State. Amr ibn al-As, the cunning and resourceful general, was tasked with a mission that would test his strategic brilliance: the siege of Damascus. The city, a jewel of the Levant, was heavily fortified, and its capture would not come easily. Amr ibn al-As meticulously planned his approach. He understood the importance of cutting off supply routes and isolating the city. His forces moved swiftly, securing key positions around Damascus and setting up a tight blockade. The Byzantine army, though formidable, was caught off guard by the swiftness and precision of the Muslim tactics. The siege began in earnest. Amr ibn al-As employed a combination of military pressure and diplomatic maneuvers. He sent envoys to the city's leaders, offering terms of surrender that would spare the lives and property of the inhabitants. The Byzantine governor, however, refused to capitulate, believing in the impregnability of his fortifications. As the days turned into weeks, the pressure on Damascus increased. The Muslim forces, under Amr's command, dug trenches and erected palisades, ensuring that no reinforcements could reach the city. The Byzantine garrison, though well supplied, began to feel the strain of the prolonged siege. Amr ibn al-As, ever the strategist, recognized the need for a decisive blow. He ordered his men to focus their attacks on the weaker points of the city's defenses. The Muslim archers rained down arrows, while the sappers worked tirelessly to undermine the walls. The turning point came when a group of Christian Arabs, disillusioned with Byzantine rule, opened a secret gate for the Muslim army. This act of betrayal proved crucial, allowing Amr's forces to pour into the city. The Byzantine defenders, caught off guard, were quickly overwhelmed. The fall of Damascus was a pivotal moment in the early expansion of the Islamic State. It demonstrated the strategic genius of Amr ibn al-As and the effectiveness of combined military and diplomatic tactics. The city, once a bastion of Byzantine power, now stood as a testament to the growing influence of the Muslim world. EVNTSCOVID, Siege of Damascus, Capture of Damascus, Christian Arabs' betrayal. The dust of the Syrian desert still clung to the banners of the Muslims. Amr ibn al-As, a veteran of countless campaigns, now turned his gaze westward. Egypt, the breadbasket of empires, a land of ancient marvels and formidable defenses, lay before him. The Caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, had granted his request, a bold gamble to extend the nascent Islamic State. But the initial advance was met with the cold reality of Byzantine resistance. Garrison towns, like the fortress of Babylon near modern Cairo, proved stubborn obstacles. Amr's forces, though eager, were outnumbered. Whispers of doubt began to circulate. Was this campaign too ambitious? Yet Amr Ibn Alaz was no stranger to adversity. He saw not just walls and legions, but the strategic heart of the enemy. He understood that control of the Nile was paramount. His scouts reported the Byzantine fleet dominating the waterways, a constant threat to his supply lines and a barrier to further progress. The city of Alexandria, a jewel of the Mediterranean, remained a distant, seemingly insurmountable prize. It was in these crucial moments, facing an entrenched foe and the vastness of an unknown land, that Amr's tactical brilliance shone. He bypassed immediate, costly assaults, opting instead for a calculated siege of Babylon. He knew that starving the garrison, cutting off their provisions, would be more effective than a direct charge. He also recognized the importance of psychological warfare, of sowing discord among the defenders. As the siege wore on, a new opportunity emerged. A contingent of Berber tribesmen, chafing under Byzantine rule, approached Amr. They offered their allegiance, their knowledge of the land, and their fighting prowess. This alliance, forged in the crucible of shared grievance, proved invaluable. The Berbers provided crucial intelligence and manpower, disrupting Byzantine patrols and weakening their resolve. The whispers of doubt began to fade, replaced by a growing sense of anticipation. The enigma of Egypt was slowly yielding to the determined will of the faithful. EVNTSCOVID, Siege of Babylon, alliance with Berber tribes. Victory is not an ending, but a prelude to a far harder art, governance. Amr Ibn Alaz, who had guided the sword that opened the Nile Valley, now turned that blade into a plowshare of statecraft. Where armies had camped, he founded a city, Al-Fustat, the first Arab seat in Egypt, placed strategically at the Nile's eastern bank to command the lifeblood trade routes and to house the new garrison and their families. He laid out a Friday mosque that became both a place of worship and the nerve center of authority, a visible claim that the Arabs were not a passing wave, but a durable polity. The triumph of arms quickly met the human realities of rulership. Amr faced the task of turning a conquered, complex country into a fiscal and administrative unit of the caliphate. He retained much of the existing bureaucracy where it served the public interest. Experienced Coptic scribes continued to keep the records. It was by pragmatic integration, not wholesale rupture, that order was secured. A careful system of kharaj, land tax, and jizya for non-Muslim subjects was put into effect. These arrangements provided revenue and stability, and Amr oversaw the registration of cultivations and the settlement of Arab warriors as a garrison elite, their stipends recorded in the Diwan. He balanced rewards to soldiers with the need to prevent brigandage and disorder among a populace weary from war. Politics required negotiation as surely as law. The Coptic community, whose patriarch Benjamin had survived the turmoil, returned from concealment and entered into terms with the new authorities. Amr recognized their churches and customs in exchange for protection and regular tribute. The pact secured Christian life and assured the state revenue that would keep the canals running and the granaries stocked. In doing so, Amr displayed a practical tolerance, a hallmark of early Islamic administration, recorded by our chroniclers. Beyond administration, Amr faced constant external risk, the Byzantine sea power and the precarious loyalty of distant Arab contingents. He governed with a mix of shrewd settlement policy, fiscal discipline, and clear, occasionally ruthless, enforcement of order. In this crucible, Egypt ceased to be merely a conquered province and became the caliphate's granary and doorway to the Mediterranean. a transformation achieved by a commander who understood that the hardest victories are those that last. EVNTSCOVID. Founding of Al-Fustat, establishment of Egypt's administration and Karaj, pact with Coptic patriarch Benjamin. The sands of time settled upon the conqueror. With Egypt secured, Amr Ibn al-As, the undefeated general, now faced his greatest challenge, not to conquer, but to build. His mandate from the Caliph Umar was clear: consolidate the territory and forge a lasting cornerstone for the Islamic State. The military camp at the strategic junction of the Nile Valley and the Red Sea would no longer suffice. Drawing upon his profound understanding of the land's arteries, Amr envisioned and founded a new urban heart, Al-Fustat. As recorded by Ibn Kathir, he declared, "This is the MI-1E63R that will be for the Muslims a rallying point." The city was laid out not as a foreign imposition, but as an organic nucleus of administration and faith, its grand mosque standing as the first on African soil. His governance, however, was tested not by rebellion, but by the sea. Intelligence, cited by Al-Tabari, warned of a vast Byzantine fleet massing to retake Alexandria by water. Amr, a man of the desert, recognized the existential threat. With decisive urgency, he fortified the coastal defenses and issued orders that reshaped the geopolitical landscape of the Mediterranean. He commanded the construction of the Islamic Navy's first major shipyard near Babylon Fortress. This was not merely a reaction, but a visionary leap, transforming the Muslims from land-bound warriors into guardians of the sea, a strategic doctrine that would protect Egypt for centuries. Yet the twilight of an era approached. The assassination of Caliph Uthman ibn Affan sent seismic waves through the caliphate. In Egypt, a bastion of stability under Amr's firm yet just hand, the news was met with profound turmoil. The veteran commander, whose loyalty had always been to the integrity of the Islamic State, now faced a fractured community. His political acumen, honed over decades, was summoned once more. He navigated these perilous waters with caution, his primary concern the preservation of the Egyptian province from the civil strife engulfing the heartland. His work, the city of Al-Fustat and the secure borders he forged, would endure as his final, monumental contribution, the solidification of a new dawn for the caliphate. EVNTSCOVID. Foundation of Al-Fustat, naval defense and shipyard construction against Byzantine threat, political navigation following Caliph Uthman's assassination.